back in the United States today, Connecticut Democratic Senator Chris Murphy reacted to the peace talks and to Russia's announcement of a military pullback from Kyiv this way. He said, quote, "Not coincidental that this announcement comes a day after the Ukrainians' new offensive likely achieved its biggest victory, the recapture of the key Kyiv suburb of Irpin. The Russians were potentially on the verge of a series of routs," end quote. Joining me now is Senator Murphy. He's a member of the Foreign Relations Committee. Senator, thanks for making time to be with us tonight. I want to ask you about the proposal that some of the Ukrainians have made, and that is that if they can't join NATO, can there be a mechanism set up by which their territorial integrity is protected and that others will come, someone else will come to their defense if Russia tries this nonsense again? What do you think about the likelihood of a suggestion like that working?
Well, that is the essence of NATO, right? NATO is a mutual defense treaty in which we pledge to those that are part of that alliance that if they are attacked, that all of the members will come to their defense. So it sounds as if Ukraine is asking to have the rights that NATO members enjoy while not being a member of NATO. That's obviously something that the United States and our allies can discuss, but that's a fairly serious commitment to make, to have the United States guarantee the protection of Ukraine outside of the confines of NATO. Obviously, everybody wants to talk about ways to bring this war to a close, and I think many of us will be, willing to look at any asks that Zelensky makes of us.
A number of people I'm speaking to on the ground here are saying, regular Ukrainian citizens, some of them are refugees who from other parts, internally displaced people who've left their homes in eastern Ukraine or even Kyiv and have come here to Lviv. And they're all saying, why should Ukraine make any concessions whatsoever? They don't even think this should be called a war because they didn't feel that they were party to it. They didn't want it. And they're concerned that in negotiations, just like with Crimea and the Donbass, they're going to end up giving something up for no reason.
Well, I think the United States should be careful to dictate the terms of a peace agreement to President Zelensky. President Zelensky has been incredible in his leadership throughout the first 4 weeks of this war, and he will make a decision on behalf of his country, along with the Rada, as to whether the terms on the table are acceptable or unacceptable. It is certainly a hard pill to swallow, the idea that as Russia is retreating from Kyiv, that Ukraine would grant them territorial control over 1 inch of Ukrainian land. But there are clearly things that can be on the table. The neutrality of Ukraine can be on the table. Devolved power for eastern regions can be on the table. And I think the United States is willing to put some things on the table as well. We've never had the intent of putting missiles inside of Ukraine that would threaten Russia, and we can make some commitments to give Russia confidence that that is not in the cards after this war ends. So it's up to Zelensky and his team as to what the terms will be. We shouldn't dictate those to him. But our commitment is, if you are not ready to sign an agreement, if the terms are too difficult or too onerous and you continue to fight, the United States is going to stick with you.
You've met with him 4 or 5 times. What's your sense of how he's been performing, Zelensky?
I mean, he's blown me away. I've probably sat with Zelensky for more time than anyone else in the Senate. I would lie to you if I would tell you I wasn't a bit surprised at how he has been able to rally not just all of Ukraine, but the entire world. Listen, Zelensky knows how to use the media, and there's nothing more important in the early days of a war than using mass media in order to win the propaganda battle. And it's pretty stunning stunning that Russia, a country that prided itself on being able to win the information wars, is in a position that they are getting their hat handed to them every single day, both militarily on the ground inside Ukraine, but also when it comes to the messaging. Putin is in a corner, not just because he's been on the receiving end of an incredibly impressive military performance from the Ukrainians, but also because he simply doesn't have any friends who are willing to come to his aid. I don't think he counted on losing both the military battle and the propaganda battle.